At the end of the Passover meal, Jesus and the rest of his disciples, Judas having already left, would have walked down through the wealthy area of Jerusalem and then walked down some steps that we can still see, which are heading towards the Tyrolean Valley, then the Kidron Valley, and up to Gethsemane. As they walked down those steps, they would have passed Caiaphas's house, the high priest who had already paid Judas to betray his master. It had been Jesus' custom to spend some quiet time with his friends in a garden on the slopes of the Mount of Olives just out of the Kidron Valley. A garden would have been a walled enclosure, and because it's walled, no doubt it would have been locked as well. It would have been owned by someone who was wealthy enough to afford such a thing. It raises questions who owned it, that Jesus knew, that made it available for Jesus and his friends. The interesting thing in Mark's account of the arrest is there's a young man who is there dressed only in a linen garment, and someone grabs it, and this young man has to flee naked. And this is only in Mark's Gospel, and so it's always been taken as a bit of this odd thing's always been taken as a bit of a signature. And the question is raised, was this Mark himself? So after Jesus was arrested, the arresting party had come from Caiaphas, the high priest, and basically when they arrested him, they then took him back to Caiaphas's house. And coincidentally, this just meant the reversal of the way that Jesus would have come to Gethsemane. So back down the Kidron Valley, in through the city walls, down around the Pool of Siloam, up the Tyrolean Valley away, turn left up the stairway that then took them to Caiaphas's house. And it was there that Jesus faced a trial before the elders, and they found him worthy of sentence of death. We know from John's Gospel that they didn't have the authority to put someone to death. They wanted Jesus dead, and so they needed the Roman government to do that for them. They would have taken Jesus from Caiaphas's house early in the next morning, back up to Mount Zion, which is where Herod's palace was, the old palace built by King Herod the Great. And that was Pilate's residence when he was in Jerusalem. So they would have taken him to that palace in order to have Pilate try Jesus, and they were hoping he'd put him to death. And so early the next morning, that's what happened. There was a trial before Pilate, and the result of that was, in the end, Jesus was handed over to be crucified at a place called Golgotha, or the place of the skull. The way first century Jerusalem was, it was just outside the city walls, just a little bit north of Herod's palace, which was the Praetorium, where Pilate was, where he was tried. So they would have just taken him a little bit further north, 10 minutes walk, and crucified him at this place of the skull, Golgotha. Why they would have crucified him there, well, it was convenient, but one of the things was crucifixion was supposed to be a public thing, and so this was a place where a crucified criminal could be viewed by the public, as they're walking along the wall or walking into the city. And so the deterrent value of the crucifixion would have been most powerful.